Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with episode 2430 of the Cabral Concept. These are our weekend edition of the show, the Cabral HouseCalls, where I answer our community's questions each and every weekend. We try to tackle a dozen different questions over the Saturday and Sunday time period, and really looking forward to today's questions as well. If you want to follow along, head on over to stephencabral.com/2430. That is the episode number today. Again, that's stephencabral.com/2430 if you want to follow along. I'm opening up the document right now, and my team does an amazing job at putting all these questions together, and it's really first come, first serve. So we answer every single question that comes in. Just remember that if it's a customer service question, these don't even get seen for 12 weeks. So we're at about a 12-week time lapse from when you ask the question to kind of when you get into the queue. So if you ever have an order question, a lab question, etc., ask that right at support@equa.life. And let's see, what else there might there be? If you want same-day answers to a question and you want the help from the community, I would ask that question at cabralsupportgroup.com. That's cabralsupportgroup.com. That's completely free to join. About 19,000 people and climbing every single month from around the world ask their questions there. They get support. They give support. So it's a really great place to hang out online. Very positive place. All right. But that's not why you came here. You're here to hear our community's questions and also to see if I can provide some help with those. All right. So without further ado, let's dive into today's first question, which is from Ryan. Ryan says, first off, thank you for all that you do in providing great content, services, and products to our community. Thanks, Ryan. I have a question in terms of tinctures. I'm currently growing shiitake and lion's mane mushrooms on logs in my yard with harvesting wild oyster and turkey tail mushrooms. After eating ample mushrooms, I will have a lot of extra, and I'm thinking of making a dual extract tincture with all 4 mushroom types to take full advantage of the medicinal properties. My question is, if you end up with a 30% alcohol tincture and take a dropper per day, does the alcohol consumed counteract the benefits of the mushrooms? Can kids consume tinctures? Thanks again. All right. So really great question. So basically what Ryan's saying is he's growing 4 different types of herbal-based, I say herbal because, you know, we get in issues with the FDA if we start saying medicinal mushrooms, but I know what you're saying. They're great for the immune system. They can be quite beneficial for the brain, etc. Okay, so you're growing your mushrooms. You'll have additional ones left over. You don't want them to go to waste, so you're going to turn them into a liquid-based tincture, and you're going to then use that maybe on a daily basis. Okay, so the question then becomes, does the alcohol that you're using to preserve the mushroom extracts actually become detrimental to the body? So my question to that is, or my answer to that is, for some people, they do not do well with alcohol tinctures. Their body reacts quite negatively because of mainly detox pathway-based issues. They're not able to break down that alcohol. They can, but they're not able to break it down as well as other people. Therefore, it can cause things like brain fog or histamine-based reactions, itchy eyes, etc. that mushrooms may give them anyways. Just keep in mind, as a fungus, it may cause some issues in some people. And that's why, again, there is no all for one, but of course, this could be very beneficial. All right, so if the alcohol does not necessarily affect you, maybe not as big a deal. So that's that. And then I would have no issue with that. Now, can kids consume it with alcohol? Most will not, because alcohol has a burning sensation to it. Most children don't do well with it, and I don't give my children any alcohol-based tinctures. Instead, when we use a tincture, we use a glycerin-based. So, Ryan, you might even want to look at using glycerin as the preservative for your mushroom extracts rather than alcohol. That's completely up to you. They will not last as long. They will last 1 year to 2 years, which is still a long period of time, but alcohol tinctures, well, they could last 3 years or more. All right, so hopefully that's helpful. Alicia is up next. Dear Dr. Ball, could you please explain the difference between Adrenal Soothe and Adrenal Energy Support Equal Life supplements? Which circumstances would be a better fit for Adrenal Soothe, and when would Adrenal Energy Support be better? Thank you so much. Okay. Happy to help with this. So adrenal energy support is to give the body energy. So most people, they can go by symptoms, or they will run the stress, mood, and metabolism test. That's at stephencabral.com/labs. That's where all the labs are. And you can link right over to Equal Life that way. And if you have low cortisol in the morning, And if you have low cortisol around lunch and your symptoms are lower energy, brain fog, lower mood, trouble getting going in the morning, low ambition, low drive, then you can take 2 adrenal energy support with breakfast and 2 adrenal energy support at lunch. And that's going to give you a boost. It has licorice root and other great adaptogens, which will give you another nice little boost. Okay, so when would you use adrenal energy? When you use Adrenal Soothe? Adrenal Soothe is to soothe the adrenals, overactive adrenals. So if you have high cortisol at any point during the day, and especially you have difficulty falling asleep or turning the mind off, most people will use 2 to 3 Adrenal Soothe with dinner. All right, and that contains phosphatidylserine, ashwagandha, L-theanine, and other things to calm those cortisol levels. All right, and so hopefully that's helpful. But again, all of those can be found for you too, besides symptoms, by using that stress, mood, and metabolism lab. Keith is up next. Keith says, Dr. Cabral, I'm 61 years old. I live with Crohn's since my early teens, and despite numerous doctors, psychiatrists, tests, my disease went undiagnosed. I suffered through many episodes of depression, apathy, anxiety, and general malaise. At 46, my disease flared and I was misdiagnosed with ulcerative colitis. Being treated for ulcerative colitis for 3.5 years with multiple flare-ups, hospitalization, prednisone, cycles, etc. After a severe flare-up, I ended up in the emergency room at the University of Chicago. By God's grace, Dr. David Rubin was on call and took my case. 2 days later, after multiple tests, I was told my colon was ready to rupture in 4 spots. 5 days later, surgery to remove 98% of my large intestine. 6 months later, after a sigmoidoscopy, I endured a 10.5-hour surgery due to the significant scar tissue and inflammation. I live a permanent ileostomy. I've been on an 11-year journey to understand and develop lifestyle to adapt to this handicap. I have yet to be exposed to a comprehensive article, podcast, etc., to better understand this condition. Your podcasts have enlightened me on the subject, and I would like to ask, might you be able to address this on one of your podcasts? Sincerely, Keith. Absolutely happy to. And I have an entire course dedicated to the gut and digestion. That's at stephencabral.com/courses. So if you're somebody who really wants to go in depth on digestion, I definitely recommend that. That's, again, on how to rebalance your digestive system. I also have a course on how to rebalance your thyroid, and I have a course on how to rebalance female hormones, whether it's fertility, menopause, PCOS, in general, luteal phase estrogen dominance-based dysfunction. So, all right, so that's that. Now, the reason why you'll never find one article or one podcast or one only thing is because Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis or any of these things do not occur by one happenstance. So you have a genetic predisposition, okay, many people do, but then, and again, if you've read my book, The Rain Barrel Effect, hopefully, again, you read The Rain Barrel Effect. It's essentially free at stephencabral.com. You just pay for shipping. And again, you can always get it at Amazon too. I'm not saying you just have to get it from my website, whatever you want to do. Again, I share these things and somehow there's always an issue. But anyway, that is life. And so what I want you to understand is that the Rain Barrel Effect is what causes all disease in both mind and body and even spirit. It's an overflowing of what your body can handle. Right? So that's it. So your body got overwhelmed from most likely stress. Stress is, I've never seen a case without high stress being a factor in your teen years. Again, there is a genetic disposition, but then whether it was antibiotic use, poor food combining, parasites, candida overgrowth, SIBO, H. pylori, etc., something then what I call is the environmental trigger, right? So that's the trigger. And then that causes the flare up. And then we're in a cycle of inflammation. And so that's why there's no one podcast, because you have to address the whole de-stress protocol, the diet that affects it, the exercise, right? Because exercise modulates or flares up, stress reduction, toxin removal, super important right there. Your rest and sleep, very important for regenerative restoring, your emotional balance, trauma, stress, huge factors, scientifically based supplements to help with Crohn's, colitis, et cetera. And then a success mindset to be able to see all of this through. And so, Keith, hopefully that's a good start. And again, I'm always happy to help. And just let me know if there's ever specifics as well. And I'll continue to podcast on ulcerative colitis as well as Crohn's and the difference between the two. Thank you for writing it. Ryan's up next. Thanks again for all you do, and I hope you're having a great day. My question is, once you take the time and put in the effort to get your gut rebalanced, how sensitive is it to becoming imbalanced, and what can you do to help maintain? More specifically, on a week-long vacation, I had a few alcoholic drinks daily. Would this or could this mess things up? Is there anything that can be done during the vacation to help reduce the risk? I take daily foundational protocol, daily or healthy gut support, probiotics, immune support. Oh, question mark. Have you heard of Z-Biotics? It is a pre-alcohol probiotic that breaks down acetaldehyde. Would this help? Once again, I know the best answer is to abstain from daily alcohol drinks, but just wondering how to reduce the potential damage. Thanks again. All right, great question. And again, this goes back to the rain barrel effect. How healthy is your gut? If your gut's really healthy, well then, 3 or 4 days of drinking in a row while on vacation is not going to completely dismantle your gut. If your gut's already inflamed, there's already intestinal permeability, there's already SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and already candida overgrowth, yeah, it's going to flare it up to a much greater degree. But having said that, again, I think that the first goal is you get your gut healthy. You run the candida metabolic and vitamins test, you run the bacteria and parasite stool test, you run the IgG food sensitivity test. That's called the gut bundle. All of those are at stephencabral.com/labs. Again, you can look at the labs. You don't have to run them with our team. You can run them with your integrative health practitioner level 2 or a naturopathic doctor that specializes in the gut. Okay, so let's move forward. Would using your daily foundational protocol, which is your daily nutritional support, daily fruit and vegetable blend, daily omega-3s, and your daily probiotic support help? Absolutely. So again, the whole point of supplements is to supplement our lifestyle and to maintain equilibriums, and maintain dynamic equilibrium in a world of toxicity. That's the goal. That's why I do them. So I've got, again, I always have my daily nutritional support. I've got everything that I need, but I keep it simple. I don't worry about my supplements. I take my supplements, some when I wake up, some at my meals, some before bed. It's all laid out. It's in my little vitamin box. I don't think about it at all. That's it. It's done. And yes, I'm always rotating new supplements in. For me, just again, that doesn't mean for you, but it's pretty easy to maintain. If I'm drinking alcohol, if I were you, I personally would for sure be using my daily omega-3 support, and for sure be using daily nutritional support for all the B vitamins to help detox all of that and all the detox cofactors. And for sure, I'd be using a daily probiotic support. Yeah, for sure, I'd be doing that. So yes, that's one thing to help mitigate. Healthy gut support will help with a gut permeability issue. So healthy gut support powder is just 1 scoop in your shake. It's easy to do. So you could do that. You can even add you could add the advanced collagen support if you wanted to. So that's that. The immune support, whenever I travel, I'm taking it. I'm taking it most days anyways, but it's the liquid vitamin D, the balanced zinc, and it's the alkalizing vitamin C. So that's very, very easy to do. So that's it. And then what about Z-Biotics? Well, I'm actually experimenting with Z-Biotics right now. I don't have a take on it yet. I don't have a positive or negative, but it's helping with a byproduct of alcohol. So I don't see the literature that it helps the gut. However, it may be able to help with hangovers and the toxicity issue, okay? So not from a gut-based issue, although you could look at it that, I guess, from inflammation, but really I'm looking at it from the byproduct of alcohol, which is that acetaldehyde that it's helping to break down. So again, I review a lot of products. I have not reviewed this. I have to get the clinical, not just data, but I have to get the actual real world evidence that it's working, and then I provide that with you. All right, so stay tuned on that. I'll give you a review within the next either weeks or month or so coming. All right, Kevin's up next. Hi, I recently have been diagnosed with sarcoidosis. Are there protocols or perhaps labs whose results would provide a path beyond medication, or is conventional medicine my only option? Thanks, Kevin. All right, so if you've listened to the show, you know that conventional medicine is never the only option. All right, so sarcoidosis is an autoimmune disease. An autoimmune disease always has a root cause. That means there's a genetic component, but I know for sure, Kevin, you most likely didn't have sarcoidosis when you were 6 years old. You probably didn't even have it when you were 12. You maybe got it in your later 30s or 40s, all right? So there is a path then backwards to reverse. So what we do is we always look for the underlying root causes. First, again, listen to my podcast on autoimmune diseases. They're free. Go to stephencabral.com/podcast, search sarcoidosis. You'll find a couple shows on it or house calls where I answered it. Next, read the rain barrel effect. That's going to teach you what you need to do in order to begin to reverse this. Again, I have to share with you that I'm not here to provide any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, or medical diagnosis. But I've worked with sarcoidosis many, many times. And You want to look at your gut. You want to look at stress levels. You want to look at heavy metals. You want to look at all the things that you would want to look at with what's called the Big Five labs. I would run the Big Five labs if possible. I would even add a bacteria and parasite stool test to that. It's just finances. Again, and again, I don't take that lightly. I totally understand. I couldn't run every lab when I was 19 years old when I was introduced to this. I ran a couple. Then I ran a couple more 6 months later. Then I ran a couple more 6 months after that. So you'll do whatever works best for you. But certainly I would run the starter kit at the very least. Ideally the Big Five plus the bacteria and parasite stool test, at the very least, the starter kit. There's always an underlying root cause. You do not get rid of your autoimmune issues until you correct the underlying root causes, allowing for the genetic manifestation of the autoimmune disease. All right? But again, a healthy body cannot be sick. All right, Catherine's up next. I had a thyroid storm in 1984, and my thyroid was radiated. I've been on Synthroid for 38 years. I was diagnosed with Graves in 1984. I'm 60 years old, 5'3", 135. I've struggled with my weight for all these years. How do I stoke my metabolism without a T3 or T4 gland? You're right. And so if your thyroid is no longer functioning, you're no longer producing that level of the thyroid stimulating hormone to produce T4 to then produce free T3. All right. So understand, get it, you need to supplement. So then your options are supplementing with your Synthroid or potentially with what's called a thyroid glandular. Again, I'm not here to give you medical advice on that. You'll decide what's best for you. And then in terms of weight loss, I cannot recommend enough doing the 21-day functional medicine detox. That's at stephencabral.com/detox, followed by a flex meal where you get to eat whatever your heart desires to reboost leptin and ghrelin in the body, and then begin the Fatlocity program. And that's at stephencabral.com/Fatlocity, which is FATLOSSITY, Fatlocity. Again, you don't have to do those, but if people are asking my advice, I really want to keep things simple now. I really do. There's so much confusion out there. We guarantee everything we do, so it's not like, listen, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's totally up to you, but it's going to work in 99+% of people. So you've got a really good shot that you're one of those 99+% of people. And the people that it doesn't, it simply means that there's a greater underlying metabolic disturbance that we need to work on, such as estrogen dominance, such as high cortisol at night, low cortisol in the morning, such as low vitamin D, such as glucose-based issues. All those things are correctable as well. So basically, nothing ever fails. It's just more data in order to be like, hey, we need to look deeper. So Catherine, if I were you, I'd run the Big Five. If you can't, I'd run one lab called the Stress, Mood, and Metabolism test. Then after you run the lab, I would do the 21-day functional medicine detox, the flex meal, followed by Fatlocity. That's what I would do if you're in my practice. But again, the choice is always yours. Hopefully this was helpful today. I'm going to be back answering 6 more of our community's questions tomorrow. Thank you all for your support of the Cabral concept. I appreciate you. If you haven't reviewed the show, I would love you to do so. It'll take less than a minute on your favorite podcast player. And once again, we appreciate you. Take care. I'll talk with you tomorrow.